I would go for auditions, I would do things, and it just never worked out. And then one day, my brother was like, you know what? There's a bid in, this oil company. Why don't you come and, you know, go in for the bid? And I won the bid, and that was my first. I've been doing this since then. So yeah, for fun, like she said, I like traveling, but I also like to eat. So I spend a lot of time eating and watching Netflix and researching stuff, and traveling is also a good idea.
Hi, so my name is Wale Lawal. Like Tracy, also, I didn't study interior design, but I went to Imperial College London. I studied innovation, entrepreneurship, and management. My family has been into the real estate business for over 21 years, and I thought, you know what, let me actually follow the same path because I really enjoyed, watching, my dad going to the sites and, constructing, projects and finishing them from the foundation level to the final product. So I was like, you know what, I really love this, and I want to emulate him and continue the family business. So I've been doing it for the past 9 years, and I started actually focusing properly after my NYC when I sold one of my apartments for about I think 300 million naira at the time. And once that commission hits my account, I'm like, ooh, I want to continue doing this, so I can also, grow and make some money for myself. So aside from real estate, I also model. So I used to model in the Lagos Fashion Week 2017, 2019, 2018. I was the face of Okunoran. I've been on Vogue. I've been on GQ. I've been on, Vogue Germany, GQ as well. And I was the face of Vertifly last year. But then I decided, like, look, real estate is a great avenue for you to also branch out to other things. You meet so many great people, and you also network a lot. So I said, okay, let me continue doing this.
Hi everyone, my name is Arjun Savalani. I'm the production manager and designer for the Office Store Limited and Sava Homes. I was trained as a mechanical engineer, and over the years I've become sort of a YouTube carpenter, where I've learned how to woodwork on the internet, and because of that and my interests, um, today I've launched Sava Homes, made in Nigeria, all solid wood furniture, and yeah, that's me.
Okay, so lovely to meet every one of you. I feel very inspired because I'm actually not into interior design. I would love to do it, but I just can't handle the construction part of it because I feel like in Nigeria, when it comes to interior design, you need to actually do that and also do interior design. Okay, so going on to my first question about designing your first home. So I'll start with my own story. So for me, I moved out of my parents' house like 2 years ago, which can be very problematic because I'm the last child and then I'm also a girl. So there's a big thing that, oh, you can't leave your house until you get married, things like that. So for me, leaving, I already paid my rent. So all I did was just send them a message in the family group like, I'm going to be leaving in January. Which was a bad idea because they ended up having a whole huge ass family meeting on my head, not discussing about just the house, marriage, everything, entire, yeah. So moving into my apartment was quite interesting for me, and for me, designing my space because I have a flatmate. I love living with someone, so for me, it was more about designing my own room. And people are just very wild about that because it looks like something that is taken out of Pinterest. And because I love Pinterest, I have a very aesthetically pleasing eye. That's why I do what I do, content creation. So when it comes to designing my room, it was quite fun. I had fun going to Pinterest, taking out mood boards, what I wanted my room to look like, what colors I loved. For me, I really love brown. So if you see my room, is a lot of brown, brown bed, brown floor, and I love plants. I feel like plants bring every space to life. So I love plants, and I love a really nice art or decor to bring my space to life. So I'm going to ask, can you remember what it was like designing your first home? It could be your personal home, or it could be just for a client. What was it like?
Me? Okay. Um, I think for me, designing a first home for a client or for myself. Both. Okay. It's easier for me to design for other people than to design for myself. So I'll start with the client. So usually, the first thing you want to do when you're designing for anyone is to find out the functionality of the space. So obviously, um, what is the space used for? So if it's for a house, obviously you're living in it, but then how do you want to feel when you're living in this space? What does what room, what do you want to use this room for? So definitely the functionality. Then you have to look at space management. How do you want to manage a space? The use of furniture to fill in the room so that it's balanced, because balance is, a form of design as well. And, so then you start with that. Then you kind of ask, what's your style? So usually when I relate with clients, I send them, because some clients can't actually articulate what they want. They just kind of know when they see a picture or when they see an image or some kind of representation. So I send them like different kind of pictures that represent different genres or styles of interior. And I say, what do you resonate with? How does this resonate with you? And when I would narrow it down, it's kind of like creating a playlist on Apple Music or Spotify, and they tell you, do you like this artist? Do you like that artist? And then they create a playlist based on that. That's the formula I use as well. So when they choose, if they're choosing stuff that has like a lot of Victorian style furniture, I know, okay, they like this. And then I'll do one with colors. Do you like these colors? Do you like the way this is set up? Then they will choose that. Then I know I have an idea. Okay, this client is very minimalist, or this client is a maximalist, or this client likes dated stuff. Then from there, I kind of like narrow it down, and I'm like, okay, so, this space, when you go into it, how do you want to feel when you use this space? Do you want it more serene? Is it for fun? Is it for gaming? Is it for entertainment? Is it for being cozy and chilling? And then I start the developments of the design, and then from there I go to work, and then I think it goes down there from it goes well from there.
Okay, so she basically said most of what I would do as well, but then I think I would actually, the first thing I usually would ask is your budget.
Oh yeah, that's
Because we've had issues where, someone says, oh, I want this, and then you go into curating their exact style, but it's not cheap. And then you have to scale back, and then they feel like, why did you give me these dreams and hopes if I cannot afford it? So I would usually ask their budget first. I would also ask their lifestyle. So are you the kind of person that likes to entertain? So do you need more living room space to be able to do that? Or do you need a bar? Or do you have pets? Or there are different things, but you need to know their lifestyle so that you can understand who you're designing for, because everybody is different. Some people don't leave their house, so they would love bigger bedroom space. Some people cook. They would love a bigger kitchen. So you have to figure out what your client wants first. And as Tracy said, if I'm designing for myself, I don't know what I want. I feel like there's so many different options, and you want everything in your own house, that at the end you can't pick one style, because you're like, oh, this is nice. And then new trends come out, and you're like, oh, do I want to put that in my own house? And then, so yeah, designing for myself doesn't work, but designing for other people, super easy.
Yeah, I actually agree with that, because a lot of interior designers that I know, whenever I go to their home, there's something new. They've rearranged it or bought something new, or they'll just change something, just because I don't know if it's itchy fingers. Yeah. What about you? How was it designing your first home?
So to me, I would say the first place I personally designed, or I helped design, was actually 36 units building of apartments. So firstly, we had to obviously find a good location. This was in Oniru, because most clients like to be in Oniru nowadays, because firstly, the land is cheap, the apartments are not as expensive as Ikoyi projects, whereas you're buying a place in Ikoyi if you're buying a 3-bed in Ikoyi, you're buying it for roughly 300 million or 150 million to 300 million. Whereas if you're buying in Oniru, you're looking at 85 million naira to 100 million, which is more affordable for clients. Also, you have had places like Hard Rock Cafe, so you have restaurants around the place. You have Landmark Beach, places where the family can actually enjoy whilst you're not at home. And then obviously I show them the plan, and this is where we're going. Most of my clients love to buy in carcass, so they can finish by themselves. They install their own tiles, install their own, like maybe Scavolini kitchens or Cola kitchens or Cola equipment or Ceramica or rack ceramics. Or I have people who would love that we finish it for them, and then that makes it much affordable for them, because we buy everything in bulk. Okay, so we have our tiles, so maybe CDK, or we get it from Turkey. And then I always make sure I communicate, in stages, because most of the places we sell may be off-plan. So I communicate, okay, we're doing tiling now, so this is the picture, do you like this? And they can come in and say, okay, this is not what they want, and they can also change the tiles if they want, and they can also change the paint. But I found that building in a carcass, let the person actually like, because it's your home, you're the one staying there. Okay, so, and I cannot dictate to you how you want to feel in your place. Today you can feel like you want the place to be cream, and after a year you want it to be dark. Okay, or maybe blue or whatever, any other color you want. So I always feel like designing a home for a client is, for me, very hard because I can't put them in a place where like, they're the ones living there. So they know what they want. So I say, okay, cool, buy it in a carcass way and you finish it up yourself. Unless maybe they give me a certain budget like you've said, and I know what to work with. Because different clients have different, economic, availability in their pockets. So I always try to work within whatever budget that they give me. So most of the people love smart homes. They want the automatic lights, the cutting, open, nice, Alexa, Sonos. They want the everything to be like techie. So that's what I've realized in my experience so far. And thank God for the use of VR. So like before a project is finished, we always have like a 3D design of how it's going to look, and we try our best to make sure that we finish it to at least 100% as how it has been from plan. So let's say I haven't started the project now, out of show them the plan before it's done, the 3D of how it looks, and they have this VR thing where you can actually look at how property would look and how you would live, the lights, the ambience, and everything. So yeah, that was how I designed my first place off plan.
Hi, so I'm actually in the middle of designing my first home. And like you said earlier, it's so difficult because I'm always chopping and changing. I was supposed to move 6 months ago, but now I'm still in my parents' house. But hopefully, I think I'll get it right soon. But yeah, it's interesting what you said. It's hard to design for yourself. I think it should be like interior designers, doing your own interior design is like being your own lawyer. It's always, you can't represent yourself, or like a barber cutting their own hair. You need someone to cut your hair. But I mean, one advice that you mentioned earlier, which is very good for people designing their own homes now, is that the internet is a very good resource. Like anyone can go on Pinterest and see what they like. Oh, these curtains would go well with this sofa. Maybe we can do it like this. So yeah, nowadays it's very easy for someone to design their own home. If they're stable and not unstable like us designers on the stage. But yeah, and also, obviously, I'm a furniture man, so I have to say, buy Sava Homes. It's good for your first house. And the last thing I would say is lighting. Lighting plays a very crucial role in designing your first home or even choosing your first house. You want a lot of natural light to come in, so it just looks that much better, and your mood is also better because the light is coming in. And I think the main architect who gave a speech early in the morning, that was her number one rule as well. I think she said like light leads the way, it's the path. So yeah, that's what I'd give.
Okay, so thank you guys. Actually learned a thing or two from everything everyone said. So moving on to the next question would be, is there a specific need or a specific thing that you must have in your first home? What's that one thing that you must have in your home? What's the most important thing to have in your home? Who wants to go first?
I'll say obviously you need electricity. We're obviously now with the rates of diesel, we've seen diesel go up from 210 last year in January to 880 naira per liter now. So I would say if you can, when you're designing your home, have space for at least solar power at the top. Because obviously we're all young, can't be spending so much on, going to work, our salaries are, inflation rates are going high. So invest in solar, invest in maybe TOFA IPP, because the way the diesel is going now, it's going to be very expensive over the next years. For us, we're all young. We're earning maybe roughly between 100K to 500K per month, and diesel is going up. And so, invest in solar, invest in inverters. Always have like a standby, inverter in your house or something. So at least you're not spending so much on electricity, and you can spend on other things. So I'd say number one, electricity. It's very important.
Good call, good call. I wouldn't have thought of that, but I think for me, I'm vain, so I need a really large bathroom and well lit, like a really nice vanity. Sorry. Uh, because I spend a lot of time in the bathroom, I feel like we should take care of ourselves, and I think that, when I wake up in the morning, when I talk to myself and, these affirmations and whatever, I spend a lot of time in the bathroom, and it's just the first place that I go to, and I'm zen. I take my time when I'm getting ready, and I'm taking care of myself, because when you feel good, you look good, and then you do good. So my bathroom is very important. It has to be serene, it has to be pristine, it has to be large, natural light, artificial light, and spacious for me.
Okay, so you make me want to have a big bathroom now, but for me, it would be storage. I feel like, especially in Nigeria, and you're a developer, so I'm gonna pick at you. Why is it that we never have enough storage? I feel like the closets are never big enough, the pantries are never big enough. You never have enough space to keep stuff. And as the longer you live in a house, the more you pack. Like you become a pack rat. You don't want to get rid of things. Not every year are you going to spring clean and throw away things. After a while, you realize that your closet's full, and you're still buying more things. And then you have to like make more closet space, and then convert a room to a closet, do something. But storage is very key, especially because we also live in a very like, in Nigeria, you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to buy this on Amazon right now and then get it here today. You buy it in advance, you buy in bulk, you buy different ways, and you have to have where to store it. And I feel like there's never enough storage, or there can never be enough storage in a house, but we make do with what we have. But so for me, storage is key.
For me, just very simple. For me, it's just a nice sofa to lie down on to watch TV. That's it. Like, I come back home, I work Saturdays, I just want to lie down, watch TV, and just relax, That's it. And that's the key to happiness.
Okay, so for me, it has to be the lightning. My room has to have great lightning. I love lights a lot. As much as I like lights, I also want to be able to dim it and total darkness. So that's it for me, lightning. Okay, so from an architectural perspective, what are some of the things to consider when building your home from scratch? Like when you're putting on paper and then you're bringing it basically to life. I think this question is for both of you.
I mean, for that, you need a good builder. 100%. Like, actually, you know what? Before the builder, you need good organization. Because as someone who's built a showroom here, you need the organization, your production, your floor plans, everything. You need to go through timelines with the builders. Otherwise, your project will be delayed, your house will be delayed. They'll be fighting with the builder, So get everything in writing. Have all the plans ready before you start any building here in Nigeria. That's the best advice. That's better than the TV sofa advice I gave earlier. So yeah, that for sure. And yeah, just make sure you have someone who has the pedigree, who you've seen what they've done before. It's not like the walls are slanting like this. So yeah, the choice of the builder and organization is, the key.
I would say make sure, obviously, like you said, choice of the builder, And also make sure obviously the plans, what is have been approved from day one, you know. Foundation has to be very solid, especially if you're building or investing in a high-rise building. Make sure you check the plans. Make sure you ask the developer, what is the plan? Has it been approved? Is it good? Can you live? Make sure you see the plaque that says, look, it's been approved, you can live building. Because most of these buildings nowadays, most of them are built without proper approvals, and then you hear different stories of, you know, this building, this, that, like it's not safe, it's not that, or a fire did this, or a fire here and there. You want to make sure you're buying or you're living in a place or a location that is safe, so you can enjoy where you're living. So I would say, you know, the plans have been approved and the location is safe. That is very important.
Okay, so there's something I want to say is there's a new trend I've noticed in Lagos houses that they're building. Why is it always leaking? Water is always leaking from the roofs these days. Because I don't know.
Bad builders.
All right, so there's also something I've noticed when it comes to interior design. So I go to places and I see that okay, let me put it this way. So let's say I go somewhere and I see this particular interior design. Then before I know it, I go somewhere else, it's exact same thing. So it feels like in Lagos, people are always sharing, oh, I saw this here, please, can you replicate this in my own house? Does that actually happen? Like, what's your perspective on following interior design trends?
Okay, so trends that they saw in someone else's house, there can be a variation. You can use different materials. You can decide, okay, your house is not the same configuration as their house. How about we do it this way instead? Sometimes most clients don't know what they want, and if you are giving them the exact same thing, then you didn't do your job. You're doing someone else's job. So you need to be able to steer them in the right direction and say, okay, this may not work in your space, but we can try this. Then when they see it in that perspective, then they'd be like, oh, okay, I never thought about it that way. So trends are there for a reason because, like in fashion, we're recycling the same styles in different variations. That's exactly what happens in interior design. Everybody is, sometimes they're all in the whole sleek lines, no decor, everything is just minimalism. But then come in 2 years' time, everybody's back to very detailed interior design. And it all depends on when you build your own house and what was thrown in your face by the media at that time. So if you're designing now and then you notice that everybody's house is sleek, nice, but that's not your style, tell your interior designer it's not your style. You don't have to go with their trend. You don't have to design and say, okay, I'm going to go with whatever it is that's out there right now. What's your style is your style. It doesn't change most times. And I also believe that people should go for things that can withstand the test of time, that regardless of whether you designed your house today or in 2050, it's still classic. You can have some elements that are on trend, but try not to make your entire house based on one thing that happened in 2021. That's how I feel.
I think also, I may sound a little harsh, but there's so many people who are doing, you know, interior, but they're not actually interior designers. So what happens is they're actually recreators or copiers because what they do is they see this and then they give it to this carpenter to do it, and they've done their first one, and honestly, when you have a natural flair for something, you have a natural flair for something, but it's always important to develop your knowledge on anything. So even if you're a cook or a cleaner, you have to still go and study and know why you even like what you like and how it has been done in the past, so you can develop and grow on your knowledge capacity. But I find that a lot of times when you meet people, they just see something and they want it, and a proper interior designer, a learned interior designer will tell you, you know what, they wouldn't even want to attach themselves to anyone else's work. You know, I would never. I am inspired. Even that image you're looking at that is an inspiration to you was an inspiration to the person who created it. You know what I mean? So it's a situation where we grow from, we develop and we build on the inspiration, and then we have to make it ours in the sense of, you know, changing it to fit the dynamic of the space or to what the client wants. So you sending me that picture, again, I understand what you want based on the picture, but I'm gonna now make it me and I'm going to make it you. So it would reflect what interior culture does and it will reflect what Noye wants. Do you understand? So when people say, oh, I see it all the time, it happens with my work all the time. In fact, when I first started, I used to message them. I'll send them a DM, excuse me, that is my coffee table. You copied my coffee table. But now it's like, they say it's the best form of flattery. But I just feel like, a lot of people that are doing these things, and again, a lot of people can't afford interior designers. So sometimes, interior design is not, and there was someone who said this on a reality show, I can't remember, it's a luxury service. It's not a need. It's something that you have to afford. So a lot of times, people aspire to want some of these things that people that can afford to pay interior designers to do can't. So what they do is they've seen this house, they know that it's interior culture that did it, but they can't afford to use interior culture, but they still want to emulate that. So they're going to call Baba Saliu, in Mushin, to please make this coffee table for me. I like it exactly, in fact, exactly like that, So I just have to say that a lot of people that are doing these things, they're actually not designers, they're just glorified carpenters. Not that you're not,
YouTube carpenter.
But yeah.
So there was something I was going to say. I feel like, do you think every interior designer has their own style? And how do they merge their style with what their client wants?
I think every interior designer should have their own style. I mean, if you don't have your signature, then how are you you? I mean, in my company, I feel like people that have been following our work for years can tell this is IC that did this. But, it doesn't mean that it's the same. I have a friend who just started and I'm talking to him and I'm watching him grow and he's been doing the same thing for years. Like it's when you see his work, it's the same because it's actually exactly the same. He'll buy the same clock on the wall. He'll buy the same dining table set. He'll use the same chair. And you just know that this person did this. I don't want to say his name.
For different clients?
Yeah, because that's what he knows. But you find that when you develop your craft and you build on it and you grow, you can have your signature look, but it can come with different elements of different things. I can make a room, it would be timeless, but it will have all eras in it, but it will just be balanced, and you understand that I get what this. If you learn it and you're exposed, you'll be like, I get what this person was trying to do, and it still is in line with my signature. So that's something that someone doesn't teach you. It's just something that should come naturally. But the educational aspect of it is you must build on it and understand why you're doing certain things. It's fluid, but it's also intentional.
So I agree, and I feel like a lot of times I learned very well from mistakes. I know what I did for my very first client. I can never do it again. She allowed me to learn from what I did there, but then it also allowed me to learn my own style because every client's different. You can't expect to do the same thing for everybody, even if you're going to have one element. Like, let's say, for instance, I like gold. That's just an example. And the person doesn't like those elements, but I'm going to find one place where I'm going to just try to slot that in. If it's the lighting or if it's just something, I'll put it in there. Just because that's my own style without taking away from their own style. And so a lot of times, it's very easy to fall into the cookie cutter, I'm going to do the same thing for everybody anybody uses or feels in a room. So, yeah, that's...
Okay, so I remember you mentioned something about interior design being a luxury, and a lot of people might not be able to afford it, especially people doing their first home and don't have so much money. So what advice would you give to people that want to DIY, do it themselves? How can they find like reliable artisans? What would you advise them, like step by step, to do when it comes to that?
What DIY interior design? Oh, yeah, Pinterest, like you did for your apartment, right? You said you weren't an interior designer, right? And I assume you didn't want to, pay for an interior designer. And does your house look good?
Definitely, yes.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah, Pinterest, Instagram. The world is there. You just gotta find it and, make it your own.
And also, I think that, in Nigeria, we don't have a lot of resources. In fact, it's getting so much better now. When I started, listen, you couldn't find a rug store. Like, can you imagine buying a rug in Lagos or buying accessories? You go to Ipori, they had like only 5 options. So I had to import every single thing that was not what wasn't what I made. And even raw materials, it was so difficult. But I knew that I wanted to be indigenous. I wanted to empower, our local artisans. I wanted to develop their craft. And I just did it. But now we're doing so great. Everything is, listen, everything is here. Look at even this event. You can find all the vendors here. If you want beddings, could you find beddings in Lagos before? No, but here you're seeing Viviano, you're seeing LSA Homes. So I feel like now there's so many resources online to find things, and I feel like people are also paying attention to, because real estate is a booming market now, and there's a lot of urban renewal. People are building cheap. People are doing a lot of Airbnbs. So it's easier to furnish now, and because some of the resources are available now. But also, I think, working with, if you go to any bus stop, you see some local furniture that they sell there. You can even buy something from there and then just tell, okay, you know what, this bed, I don't like the color, but if I spray it white, it will look cleaner, right? Or buy some nice, wooden shelves, hang them up, they will become floaters. Go somewhere in the market, even if you're using a Nestle bottle, put some, soil in it, plant something, you put them on the white floating shelf on a white wall. The space has changed. A mirror, that would add depth to a space. So I think, it's just things have changed now. There were not a lot of resources to do anything DIY, and it's not even our culture to do anything DIY, because you have a maid in your house, right? So it's not really our culture to do anything DIY, because we always have people that are able to help us recreate stuff, and are affordable, So I think that's the way to go.
Okay, so for DIY, I would say focus on one room first. Don't try to do every single room at the same time. But keep in the back of your mind, like, if you have a style that you want to resonate all over the house, have that in the back of your mind, but do one room first. And try to figure out the elements in the room that you want to DIY before you go try to do everything, because then you get overwhelmed and you won't do anything. So, room first.
Yeah, I agree with that.
This is why developers come in, because see, us as developers, we try to make sure we've done everything already for you. That's why we build in bulk, so we have all the furniture. So let's say, for example, now I partnered with Sava Homes. I told them, okay, I want all the rooms to look exactly like this. We have walk-in closets, nice, lovely furniture from Sava Homes. Everything perfect. You're not going to be complaining. You don't have to work or do anything yourself, because what they offer is nice and affordable. Do you understand? So this is the no, this is the burden that developers, will do at the back end to satisfy, young, upcoming people who want to, help, to live in a nice, affordable home. So these are the things we do for them.
Okay, so one very simple question. What's one major thing you can put in your home to bring it to life? What's that one element that brings a home to life?
I'd say art and music.
Because for me, it's plants. I love plants. Real plants, actually.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Plants bring life into the house, and also just nice colors, that you don't really get with furniture or other things, It just brightens up the place, adds color and life.
I would say light. For me, light would change a space. If it's too dark, I don't want to be there. If it's just the right amount of light, whether it's windows or even artificial lighting, can change how I feel and how I react to the space. Yes.
Everything they've said. Everything they've said. Art, music, plants, lighting. You said lighting, right? No, she said everything they said is what I think. Everything.
Okay, so the next question. Okay, so what's like one of the hardest challenges you faced running your business in Nigeria?
Can I answer that?
Yes, please.
There's so many. But I think for me, my major challenge with any project that I've had, and I'm still it's taking me nearly a decade, and I still am not there, is timing. You can tell a client, there's no matter how you plan, there's no, you plan, your project management is on point, it just because what it is, and clients, they don't see the behind the scenes, they don't see the work that is put in. Because you're depending on other people, you're depending on shipments, you're depending on an artisan, you're depending on transport. You know, I did a project in Abuja, and man, those people are enjoying. To drive to the markets and come back, maybe you need some screws, and you're doing an installation, and you just need some screws or some pegs and stuff. You can go to the market in like 15 minutes, maybe in an hour, you're back. In Lagos is the next day, 100%. So when you tell a client, please, when an artisan has told me, okay, when are you delivering the bed? It's coming when? On Saturday. I tell the clients Tuesday. They'll still bring it on Thursday. And that is the major challenge. And clients, I wish clients would understand that, like, if it was me, like if I was doing your braids, I'm a hairstylist, and you're like, come to my studio, your braid's going to take 2 hours. It's within my control for the most part, as long as that's how God wants it. I will finish your braids in 2 hours, or if I'm making you a meal, I'll finish your meal in 2 hours because I'm depending on myself. But when you're depending on artisans who are telling you one thing and you still give them 2 days additional, but they'll still give you their own 4 days additional, what are you going to do? So that's, I think, for me, the major, and then also shipment as well. You're dependent on customs. Like now I have 2 containers on the sea. I'm like, they've told me November 25th. I'm still saying, okay, November 31st, or is that November 31st? Yeah. And I'm like, but it might come December 12th. Do you understand? So timing for me is the worst thing for me. And I can't get it right.
So for me, I think it's artisans. They are very special people. A lot of times you have a plan, and you even beg. You're like, please, just finish on time. And then you start on time, and you pay them. It's not like you're withholding their money. You pay them, and then they're like, my mother something, my auntie, my child, oh, I'm not feeling fine. And then next thing you're like, so what about my work? I'll get to it. When? And then they'll tell you, don't worry. What do you mean don't worry? I'm worried. Because the next thing, you have to communicate with your client that I'm very sorry. And then if you keep coming back to communicate with your client that you're sorry, then it's like you're not serious. But it's not your fault. And it all ties in with timing. Because nowadays, if I'm going to tell a client I'm doing work, I give them like an additional month, because even if I finish earlier, it's good for me. But if I use that extra month, it's also good. Nobody's angry, but artisans will deal with you.
And sorry, I just wanted to add something before you say something. Also, the quality of staffing in Nigeria. I mean, and I blame the government because of the poor educational system. And that's why I made it a thing to like empower, and you keep empowering and they don't even want to be empowered at some point. So you're not going to force them to, how do you want to empower when, so it's the quality of, and you can't really blame them. I mean, look at ASU strike, so even when you get an architect, like, the creativity, though, I give it to, like, when you're creative, because that's a God-given talent. But things you have to learn and depend on the educational system, it's tough. In any industry.
I would say pricing. You have clients where you've given them a price. So let's say I'm selling something for 85M or 250M. The price is there. They price it down to like 40 million naira. It hurts my soul.
Part of the Nigerian spirit.
It hurts my soul. It's like I put my soul out there. I've done all the work, and then you're pricing what? How do you want me to eat? I built this thing. I spent so much money doing this. Spent so much time, years to build a project, and you're pricing it down by half the price. How bad? Do you want the business to
That's
collapse?
why our mother taught us. This we should start from now.
Yo, it's crazy. So that is what it's very tough when clients just undercut the prices of goods that they can see clearly that it's a great quality. So that's the issue that I think I face.
And then they'll be expecting the same quality with that price.
I mean, yeah, that's both a blessing and a curse, like, People come like say like this one is 200,000. They want it for 120. But it works the other way. If I want to buy something from you, I'm going to negotiate. I'm going to get the best price because you can't do that in England. But yeah, I think I mean, what you guys have all said is all valid, and I agree with all your points about how hard it is to do business in Nigeria. One thing that hasn't been mentioned is like infrastructure. Like me running a factory, all my overheads have gone up since diesel has like 4x'd in the last half a year, and that makes it difficult to like compete with the international market. So, for example, if I want to export my furniture to, let's say, America, or even, you know what, let's say Ghana. If I want to export my furniture to Ghana, it's still cheaper for them to import from China because the electricity is cheaper. They have, again, they have all like, how you say?
Basic amenities.
Yeah, they have everything. They have the infrastructure, they have amenities, they have the manpower. So yeah, Nigeria really needs to work on the infrastructure. But again, this sort of disorganization in the country, it also has its benefits. Like, for example, if I want something now, like yesterday, I can go on Gigi, I can be like, okay, I need this cable, I need it now, you know? And they'll send a dispatch rider and I can get it within 30 minutes. That's better than Amazon Prime, you know? Next day delivery, you know? It's like, Nigeria has its plus points and its minus points when it comes to doing business, you know? Sometimes it can benefit you greatly, and sometimes it can make you cry.
Okay, thank you so much to my lovely panelists. I'm just going to go ahead to ask questions. If people have questions in the audience, please feel free to raise up your hands, and then we're going to give you the mic so you can ask your questions, because you have about 15 minutes more before the session comes to an end. Okay, I'll come to you guys. Don't worry, you're special.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So my question is, my name is Fumi. My question is, how do you source for like good carpenters who are like, and artisans in general, who are like in tune with recent designs? Because that has been my major challenge.
Check out Sava Homes. My booth's over there.
So there's this, if you go online, there's this guy called Labor Hack. Labor Hack. If you just Google Labor Hack, you can get anything from cook to carpenter to painters to anything that comes with. That's if you want to do it yourself, right? It's a Labor Hack. It's called Labor Hack. Anything you want, drivers, anything, it will sort you out.
That are like up to date with
Up to
recent-
date with proper Labor Hack would help you.
Thank you.
When I started, there's this place called Westex. You know Westex, and it's in Bagada, I think, and it's a community of carpenters, right? And they have these little. In fact, Sorry, you're blocking me. Yeah, I actually wanted to get when I first started. I wanted to because at that time, this was in 2013. Each carpenter had a kiosk, and they all in this big community, like imagine like a parking lot, and there were like hundreds of them, and each carpenter had their kiosk for like 900K a year. So you'd pay a monthly thing. So when you go there, you see a lot of different carpenters. So it's up to you to choose the best one and the one that is a little bit sane, because a lot of them are not sane. And in that area, I promise you'll find, so it's just to go there, look at their work, and a lot of times, it's not the carpenter, it's about the person who's telling the carpenter what to do. You have to understand dimensions, proportions. It's not just seeing this picture. If you give a picture to a carpenter and tell him to interpret it, 9 times out of 10, they're going to do rubbish, because their own interpretation of the image is very different from what you would, interpret. So you have to give them specific measurements and tell them, interpret this, give them the fabric, give them the type of wood, the type of color. I went through a hard time. It took me years and years. And when I hire any staff, they sign an NDA. When they are leaving, they cannot touch any of my artisans because it took me years to train, and I've been working with some of them. I mean, there are some that I've used Mopol to chase out of my workshop, but like there's some that have been with me from day one, and they've grown so much in comparison to the knowledge that they had when they first started. So I think start from there, and then also places. If you go to Mushin Market, you would see like different little like kiosks that have like carpenters and like because I used to go to the market myself when I started. I used to go to Mushin to buy my fabrics. I used to go there to buy my super soft foam that I use for my upholstery. I used to go to Orile to buy my tiles. I used to go to where's this place in Ted Joshua as well to buy my curtains. I used to go to the markets myself, and I did an underground study on the industry myself, because you have to do it yourself, to find all these people. And then when I picked and choose, I trained them, and and I think that's the best advice I'll give you.
And sorry, another thing with choosing carpenters, like she said with the dimensions, as an interior designer who's giving the furniture to the carpenter who's making it, it's your responsibility to give the carpenter the dimensions, and like even if there's angles for comfort, you have to show them. Otherwise, they'll do all right angles because it's easier to do right angle than a curve or an angled something. So you have to be very clear with what you want. And also, I see a lot of carpenters now doing sponsored ads on Instagram. And some of their stuff is quite cool. So yeah, just hashtag Nigerian carpenter.
Hello everyone, my name is Ibrahim, and my question is directly to Mr. Wole Lawal. Actually, I'm a huge fan of you. I've been following you for more than 5 years now. So,
Thank you.
I've seen your designs, your structures that you do develop,
Thank you.
and from Dio Glaciers to the View
Thank you.
to CGI. So I see a kind of signature in your designs, in your structures. So large terraces, high-rise building with a nice rooftop swimming pool. I want to ask you a question. Your designs and the architect that designs for you, do you have any contribution when it comes to the idea or the concept of deriving those structures?
So what we do is most of these times we actually just contract it out to the architects. Okay, so if you pay someone to do something, you want them to be free to design something that will be, just allow them to create what they want that would suit you. So we give him that creative freedom to, create we'll just give him the location, and then we'll let him go wild with whatever designs he wants to go with. He already knows, we've been working with him for over 21 years, so he kind of understands what we would like, but he has the creative freedom to design and also like to update whatever is happening in the society and in the world. He would have that, understanding that, look, if you want to put a rooftop pool, that's the location. If you want to do something, like put a rooftop pool or maybe on the first floor, like an elevated swimming pool with a gym on the first floor with a connected gym, gym on one side, pool on the other side. He is the one that actually, brings this idea to us, and if he can actually, and if the engineers can, bring it to life, then we go ahead with it. Most of the time we just contract them out. We just get the BOQ, and then we say, okay, cool, is this possible? And then we pay them off. And then they, as interior designers, for example, if you pay an interior designer, you go, do something great for me, and then she would actually, or he would actually work for you to, bring your idea to life. So that's what we do. So we let the architects or contractors or the engineers like go wild with their own understanding of what would suit us, and then based on whatever we've done in the past, they just update it. Like when you have your iOS 15, it updates to iOS 16 with new features. So the same thing with us, our buildings. Every new building is always bigger and better, but we have the same people working with us, so that's how we build.
Okay, so we have like 2 more minutes. So just keep your questions really short and straight to the point.
Alright. Hi everyone. So my name is Fisayo, and my question is basically for the interior designers. What advice would you give to someone like an inspiring interior designer on getting like their first client? Because I understand like it might be very hard for people to trust you like when you've not done any work. So like I just wanted to ask like, and like yeah, how you get your clients basically, especially as a first time interior designer.
First time, I think my first client was through word of mouth. I think someone referred me and said, oh, try her out. And that was how I got my first client. subsequently, it was through marketing, bidding, uh, yeah, but through developers sometimes, engineers, people that we work with in the industry sometimes refer you to their clients. But first time, what for me was through word of mouth. Um, some people do, how will I explain it? They do like, before you get your first client, I feel like you should be actively practicing your craft. So if it's, whether it's by doing something on SketchUp or doing something on 3D renderings and just posting it on a page that, to show people that you're creative enough to do it, so that by the time you're ready to do the first job, then they see that you are not just coming from fresh novice land, do you get? And also, speak to your family, your parents, your cousins, and say, can I design your bedroom? Like, and sometimes they pay you, sometimes they don't, but like, start there and then build a small, or at least a portfolio that you can start, because if you don't have that, then nobody's going to take you seriously.
I think the first thing you should do is work for someone that has a turn. You have to be able to do stuff for free. I was lucky. I was lucky. But I remember after I got my first 2-3 jobs, I didn't have any job for 7 months. So you have to be able to do a lot of pro bono and learn. So the first thing you want to do is learn. So be an intern with an interior firm that you like, that you resonate with, and say, I want to work for you for free. I just want to learn. Not steal, learn. Because there are people that go to steal. Stealing is bad. So it's to learn. Learn how this person did this, learn how this person started, learn how they communicate with clients, learn how they close deals, learn the design, and through that you find out about yourself. You find out what you actually like, right? And then while doing that, and be honest with the employer. Just say, I'm coming here to learn as an intern. Don't pay me. I want to come. For me, I have a lot of interns that come, and what I do is I give them allowance. I say, you know what? I'm not hiring, no. I'm just saying, but just go there and then learn. That's step one. Step two, like she said, your friends. You have to be willing to do things for free. If you know that there's a need for something, put yourself out there, and then say, don't pay me a service. Just tell me what you want, and just pay for the item or the craft or whatever it is that they need. But don't expect to be paid, because that's how, again, you're building your portfolio. Do you understand? So the first two things, learn, and then research. Go online. Everything, right now, everything is online. Develop your crafts. Keep studying. I'm still learning till today, and I will never stop learning, because information is key. Knowledge is power. I will always keep learning, because everything is changing. Even TikTok, I'm still learning how to use TikTok. I'm still learning. I'm not going to do the dance, but all those little challenges and the different styles, we still try, because I'm not Gen Z. When it was, now is no. I have to employ Gen Z to do these things for me, and they teach me, really. So always keep learning, because the world keeps evolving, and that's honestly the best way to do anything. I have people that came in fact, I have 2 girls that came in to work for me. She started as an intern, and then I had the head designer. Do you know, within my company, they went and started their own company.
Health is key. There's no reason why you should be stressed over something that's out of your control. So if at some point you can't handle whatever it is, or you just feel like you're not gelling, there's no reason why you should keep them on as a client. And you respectfully, you will tell them, I think this working relationship is not working, and we should part ways. You can decide to refer them to someone else, or you can just let them go.
It's kind of going off the question that she asked, which was about getting your first project. But now, say you've gotten your first project, you've handled it, and you're done with that. There's always this gap from the point where you get your first project to getting the next one. So, like, do you have any tips to share? So, you're done with your first project now. Do you have any tips on how to go about getting a second one, and then just going on from there?
First of all, I'm a very spiritual person, and I'm late to church, so prayer is key for me. I don't know. I don't know what religion, or if you even practice. I pray a lot, and for me, what works for me is you must pray, but you must also work. So in the time, like your idol, you should be working. You should be creating more ideas, because if as long as you're living and you're a living being, you have ideas, you're always thinking, there's always thought processes, there's always ways to create, especially as a creative. So while I'm waiting, you know how God says wait, you're praying and you're saying, and there's no way an opportunity will not come for me. And that's how my life has been. I can't speak for you, but every time I'm waiting for something, or a client is owing me this big money, or I'm waiting for a job, or I hear about this contract that I need to bid for and it's millions of naira, and I say, God, if this is for me, you do it. And that's how I've operated from day one, So while I'm waiting, I'm praying, but I'm also working, in the sense that I'm putting myself out there. That's when you start posting. That's when you start doing TikTok challenge. That's when you start putting yourself in a place of opportunity, so that opportunity, you get it with prayer. And that has always worked for me, every single time. You have down times. I've had times after COVID. I think everybody had down times. Well, there are some people that were making money during COVID, but I wasn't one of them. COVID was tough for us, and it was almost like you're starting over. Do you understand? So it was a case where, and luckily we had projects that had just closed right before COVID, which is what sustained us through COVID. But then you're doing these projects and you're getting anxious, like, okay, what's going to happen after I'm done with these projects? That's where prayer comes in, and that's where you start, preparing yourself for what's going to come. Because sometimes when that thing hits, when that gold mine hits, it's crazy. So you got to be ready, because if you're not ready, then when it hits, you miss it, right?
I also say marketing as well. So after you've done one project, you also need to hype it. That, look, I've done this project, so this is what I'm doing next. So you want to, there's IG now. People do sponsored ads. People do loads of adverts. Tell your friends, this is what I've done in the past. Or do you want me to if you want me to continue? Obviously, this is what I'm doing next. Are you interested? Make the price cheaper. Okay, so that would attract them. So maybe your first project, you priced it at maybe 100K or 150 million, whatever. The next one, reduce it a little bit, and then you see you attract more people. Once you now have a stable following, you can now set a stable price. And then, you're just basically testing the waters at first. But then once you now have a following, after the first 2, 3, then it just goes up from there, literally. That's how it works.
I would also say networking, because when I moved back home, I'd left a long time ago. I didn't know anybody. The first client was good because I got it through someone, but then the next one, it was me going to places and just being like, hi, I do this, I'm this. And then everybody's like, oh, give me your card. And then even if they're not ready now, they can be ready later, and they would decide, oh, I'll call them up to see how far you get. And then collect their own card too and be like, oh, hi, I just wanted to check in. There's nothing wrong with being proactive, being out there, forceful. Not really forceful, but put yourself out there. Because if you're in your house and you're expecting people to come and look for you, then they will not find you. They will not see your work.
Yeah, you gotta be persistent. My cousin, who's in charge of sales, he's had many people basically tell him to, I guess, bugger off, to put it politely. And even they blocked him because he was too persistent. But then they ended up buying because they remember, okay, who's that annoying boy that used to annoy me? Ah, yes, Vinay, okay. I remember his office furniture, okay. Now I remember, So even if it's a negative interaction, it could be positive,
Okay, so thank you so much. I can't believe this session is coming to an end. I actually learned so many things. It was fun meeting everyone here, also the audience. So thank you so much for joining our session on designing your first home. I hope everyone learned something new and encouraging to go with. Okay, so bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.